Hi, my name is Paul. I'm a country realtor in the southwestern part of Virginia. And today I'm going to talk to some buyers out there. If you're looking for a homestead or a property, a home, a land, or whatever, I know it can be incredibly frustrating, believe me, because working with buyers can be very, very frustrating because if they don't know what they want, then I don't know what they want either. So the point is you have to decide what we really, really must have and want and do some logical thinking and critical thinking about what your priorities are. So I suggest people make a list here. Got a little blank piece of paper here, but I always ask people who are looking for a place to think of three particular categories. What is it that you must have? Whether it's the size of the bedrooms, or how many bedrooms you have, or a basement, or whatever. Put those things on the list, and then put a group of things that, well, they'd be nice if I had them. Maybe, like a pool or jacuzzi or something. Yeah, it'd be nice if I had one, but they can cost a lot of maintenance and so on. And then put another group of things, the things you definitely no way. So basically, you have to be able to compromise on at least something in your search. So you compromise in the things that okay, if they're there, fine. If not, fine. Now, if you don't narrow down your search can take forever. And believe me, I've seen people drive for months. They can look for a long, long time, looking everywhere, up and down, every corner, every street, trying to find their place. And part of it is because they don't really know what to look for, what their really high priorities are. For example, let's say you find a property that you really, really love. It's actually just beautiful, but it's 5 miles away from the town that you would like to be in, or maybe it's a different school or something like that. Then you have to decide in your heart what you really want. If the school's a priority and you must be 5 miles from the school, it must be in that town, then that's one thing. But if the school is negotiable, or you don't have kids anymore, or they're almost graduated, or whatever, or they haven't started yet, hey, you can compromise on that particular feature and so on. So it really helps you personally to narrow it down specifically what you want. Long, long time ago, I had a job interview with somebody. I was getting some career counseling, and he said, the more specific that you are with what you want, the more likely you are to find it. And you can throw a big, huge, broad net. Now you can look at hundreds and hundreds of houses. You can tour this one and that one. I do a lot of searches all the time. I'm a scout. I'm a realtor. I do a buyer agency sometimes. I look for people from out of town, and I have buyers inquire about certain things, and I look around on what's available. And if you don't narrow it down, it can be very, very frustrating. So let's say I want a homestead. Well, if I really, really must have water, my own independent well, that carries you into another dimension of zoning where if you're going to have a well of your own because you don't like city water, then that's probably going to put you out of the city limits, which may or may not be the way that what you like. And in addition, if you're going to have a well, there's a good chance that you're also going to need a septic tank there, because that happens too, where it's more likely to have electric out in some area outside of town than there is to have like a septic and well if you just buy some land. Now, if you really must have a well on your property and you must have access to water, you either buy a property that has a well on it already, or you buy land and have it inspected and make sure you can put a well there without a huge expense. So again, anything that you can do to narrow it down. If you really, really must have 3 bedrooms because one's an office and one's for the kid, and then you must have a certain priority. Now there are homes where you can add on to another bedroom, or maybe the house has some kind of another room that could be converted to a bedroom. There's a lot of different options, but you obviously need to have a certain amount of space for your children or your office or whatever you're going to do at home. And whether you need a big den or not, that's another story. So again, narrow and narrow and narrow. The more specific you can be, because when we go search together, if you come to my office or we sit down together and you're looking for a place, I'm going to ask you these questions to narrow it down, because we could go all over the county, and I do a lot of scouting, so I drive a lot of miles in my vehicle exploring the area that I live in. So I don't want you to have to do what I do. If you call me, or a broker like me, an agent you rather, then you can get some information about an area that'll save you a heck of a lot of time. That's why a buyer agent can be a real help to you. I know this particular area. I've driven around most parts of Virginia west of Richmond, and I cover a lot of area. I've been up to Chantilly, been up to Winchester, been up and down the Shenandoah Valley, been over to Luray, Front Royal, Charlottesville, down to Smith Mountain Lake, down to Christiansburg, and so on. So I know Virginia. I talk about Virginia as a beautiful state to homestead in one of my other videos, so you can go over and watch that. So just to recover and summarize a little bit what I've been saying is, make yourself a really good list of what you need. And sometimes, for example, the property size, you might have in your mind saying, okay, it has to be 10 acres. Well, what part of that's going to be cleared so you can put a house site there? It may be you find one that's only 6 acres but already has a nice cleared house site and also has some good soil, so you can compromise a little bit. If you buy land, for example, that's around other land, in the Virginia area there's so many farms that if you buy a land that abuts up onto a farm adjacent, very likely nobody's going to build there for a very long time. There might be cows there or chickens or whatever, but there's very likely going to be nobody building on any farmland. So you don't have to own the land. Same with forestry land. There's a lot of forestry land in Virginia, including some state and national forests. And if you're near one of those, nobody's going to build there. So you can have a smaller piece of land, but it's very private. For example, if you like to hunt and do things on hiking, and you have a property that's not as big as that you thought you would like, but it's right next to a national forest where you can just walk right off your land into the national forest, and there's certain regulations that apply, of course, if you want to go on public land. But again, finding your space, sunlight is a really big issue, because a lot of people have an idea that they want a house and you want a homestead, but if that home is not located in an area where you can have a solar on the roof or something, or if it doesn't have enough cleared land for you to have a garden and so on, again, you can add a garden, you can't move the house. You can move a garden, you can tear down a shed. Some of these sheds are flimsy, you can tear them down or you can even move them. But think about the options that you can do to adjust the property that you buy. Let's say, okay, I got to compromise on something, but I'm going to make this addition, or maybe I'm going to expand a garage, or I'll build up on the garage and I'll put an apartment up there or something. So there's a lot of things that you can add to the value of a property that may not be there when you buy it, but you say, look, okay, it doesn't have a pool yet, but I can dig one. Well, a pool is very expensive to make, but a shed you can add later. It's easy to add a shed, especially now you can get these prefab sheds and they can just bring them in and drop them there for you, and all you got to do is make a nice place for them and so on. So again, narrow it down, be specific, have some compromise attitude with certain kinds of things that you might want and hope for in your land. So also take advantage of the resources around, the maps, the GIS online system for all the tax information and property and so on. Take advantage of all those things in your search. So narrow, because if you look at 100 houses, just imagine how much driving around that's going to be. That's a lot. So if you narrow it down to maybe 20 houses, and then you pick 5 that are really incredible, and then you narrow it down to 2 or 1, then it just has a quicker funnel and make a quick decision. And one last thing is, be bold and confident. When you see things that match your list, say, okay, I can work with this. This looks really good. Maybe I'll need to fix that shed or do a little something over here, or or build a fence or something, but I can work with this property, then go ahead and do it and just say, look, now I got what I want. I'm going to end the search, because it can cost a lot of time, and precious time lost can miss the other deals. So if you find something that's workable, be very confident about your decision and go for it. Okay, so thanks again for listening. I appreciate all the feedback. I can answer any questions. Email is on the contact information here. And please like and share if you like the content, and I hope to see you in some of my other videos.